Welcome back to the channel, US Rare Coins News, Top 1, History Lovers, Coin Collectors, and Treasure Hunters. Today we're stepping back into early 20th century America to explore one of the most iconic and emotionally powerful coins ever produced by the United States, the Buffalo 5-cent coin from 1925. This is not just a piece of currency. It's a symbol of American identity, frontier spirit, and artistic excellence. Many people have seen this coin, some may even have one stored away, but very few truly understand its story, its significance, and why collectors around the world are still chasing it today. Make sure you stay until the very end, because the auction value might surprise you. The Buffalo nickel, officially known as the Indian head nickel, was introduced in 1913 during a time when America wanted its coinage to reflect its own history rather than classical European designs. By 1925, the Buffalo nickel had already become deeply woven into everyday American life. These coins circulated through the Roaring Twenties, passing through the hands of farmers, factory workers, shopkeepers, and travelers during a period of rapid change and economic growth. The year 1925 is especially interesting because it sits right in the heart of this historic era. America was booming, cities were growing, automobiles were becoming common, and the nation was still closely connected to its frontier roots. The Buffalo 5-cent coin from 1925 captures this moment perfectly, blending tradition with progress in a way few coins ever have. On the front of the 1925 Buffalo nickel, you'll see a striking and powerful portrait of a Native American chief. This image was not based on a single individual, but rather a combination of several Native American leaders. The deeply detailed features, strong profile, and solemn expression give the design a sense of dignity and respect. This portrait represents the first inhabitants of the land and honors the cultures that shaped America long before modern times. The reverse side of the coin is what truly made it legendary. It features a massive American bison, often referred to as a buffalo, standing firmly on the ground. The buffalo symbolizes strength, survival, and the untamed American West. At the time this coin was designed, the buffalo had narrowly escaped extinction, making its appearance on U.S. coinage both meaningful and symbolic. This image reminded Americans of their connection to nature and the frontier spirit that defined the nation. What makes the 1925 Buffalo nickel particularly fascinating to collectors is its production quality and survival rate. These coins were made to circulate heavily, and they did. As a result, most examples today show significant wear. The date, in particular, was placed in a raised position, making it prone to wearing down quickly. Because of this, finding a 1925 Buffalo nickel with a clear, readable date and strong details is far more difficult than most people realize. Condition plays a huge role in determining the desirability of this coin. Many 1925 Buffalo nickels are heavily worn, with flat features and weak lettering. Coins that still show sharp details in the hair, facial features, and the buffalo's fur are highly prized. Even small improvements in condition can make a dramatic difference in collector interest. Another layer of intrigue comes from subtle variations and striking characteristics found on some examples. Differences in how well the coin was struck, the clarity of the date, and the overall eye appeal can separate an average coin from a truly exceptional one. Collectors spend years searching for examples that stand out visually, even among coins from the same year. Beyond metal and minting, the emotional power of the 1925 Buffalo nickel cannot be overstated. This coin is often associated with family stories, inherited collections, and memories passed down through generations. It represents a time when 5 cents had real purchasing power and coins were an everyday part of life. That nostalgic connection makes the Buffalo nickel one of the most beloved coins in American numismatics. AS interest in classic U.S. coins continues to grow worldwide. The Buffalo nickel series has become a cornerstone of many collections. The 1925 issue, in particular, draws attention because it balances availability with challenge. While examples can still be found, truly high-quality specimens are becoming harder to locate as collectors compete for the best surviving pieces. Now let's get to the part everyone has been waiting for, the value. At major coin auctions, exceptional examples of the United States of America Buffalo 5-cent coin from 1925, especially those with strong details and outstanding preservation, have reached auction prices of up to $50,000. Top 2. Today, we're traveling back to the 1930s to explore one of the most iconic and emotionally powerful coins ever produced by the United States, the Buffalo 5-cent coin from 1934. This coin carries the weight of American history, art, and survival, all captured in just 5 cents. Many people have seen this coin, some may even own one, but very few truly understand its deeper story and why collectors still search relentlessly for the best examples. Stay with me until the very end, because the final auction value might completely change how you see this coin. The year 1934 was a defining moment in American history. The nation was slowly emerging from the depths of the Great Depression, a time when money was scarce, jobs were uncertain, and hope was hard to find. Coins from this era weren't just currency, they were lifelines. The Buffalo nickel circulated heavily during these difficult years, passing through countless hands as Americans struggled to rebuild their lives. The 1934 Buffalo 5-cent coin stands as a silent witness to this challenging yet resilient chapter of the American story. The Buffalo nickel itself was introduced in 1913, designed to reflect a truly American identity. By 1934, the coin had already become legendary. Unlike earlier U.S. coins that borrowed heavily from European styles, the Buffalo nickel celebrated America's own heritage, its native people, its wildlife, and its frontier spirit. The 1934 issue arrived near the end of the series, giving it special importance among collectors who appreciate late-era coins. On the front of the 1934 Buffalo nickel, you'll find a bold and striking portrait of a Native American chief. This powerful image was created by combining the features of several real Native American leaders, resulting in a face that represents dignity, strength, and deep-rooted history. The sharp profile, detailed hair, and focused expression make this one of the most admired designs ever placed on U.S. coinage. It honors the first people of the land and reminds us of cultures that shaped America long before modern times. Turn the coin over, and you're greeted by the image that made this series legendary, the American buffalo. Standing strong and grounded, the buffalo symbolizes endurance, power, and survival. During the early 20th century, the buffalo had narrowly avoided extinction, making its appearance on a circulating coin deeply symbolic. For Americans living through the hardships of the 1930s, this image represented hope, resilience, and the ability to endure even the toughest conditions. What makes the 1934 Buffalo nickel especially interesting to collectors is how it was produced and how it survived. These coins were minted for heavy circulation, and they saw intense use during one of the most economically difficult periods in U.S. history. As a result, most surviving examples today show noticeable wear. The date and finer details often wore down quickly, making well-preserved examples far rarer than many people expect. Condition is everything when it comes to the value and desirability of this coin. Many 1934 Buffalo nickels have flat features, weak dates, and worn surfaces. Coins that still display sharp details in the Native American's hair, clear facial features, and strong definition on the buffalo's fur and horn are highly sought after. Even small improvements in condition can dramatically increase collector interest. Another reason collectors focus on the 1934 issue is its position near the end of the Buffalo nickel series. Coins from the final years of a series often attract attention because they represent the closing of an artistic and historical chapter. In 1938, the Buffalo nickel would be replaced, making the 1934 coin part of the final generation of this beloved design. Beyond rarity and condition, the emotional and nostalgic appeal of the 1934 Buffalo nickel is incredibly strong. This coin is often found in inherited collections, old jars, and forgotten drawers, passed down from grandparents who lived through the Great Depression. It represents a time when 5 cents could buy real goods and when coins were a daily part of survival. That emotional connection adds depth and meaning that goes far beyond metal content. Collectors today are drawn to this coin not just for its beauty, but for the story it tells. Each worn surface and softened detail reflects years of use during one of America's most challenging eras. At the same time, finding a well-preserved example feels like discovering a small miracle, a piece of history that somehow escaped decades of wear. As interest in classic U.S. coinage continues to grow worldwide, the Buffalo nickel series remains one of the most collected and admired. The 1934 Buffalo 5-cent coin holds a special place within that series, balancing historical significance with collector challenge. While worn examples are common, truly exceptional specimens are becoming increasingly difficult to find as demand continues to rise. Now let's get to the moment everyone has been waiting for, the value. At major coin auctions, outstanding examples of the United States of America Buffalo 5-cent coin from 1934, especially those with sharp details and exceptional preservation, have achieved auction prices of up to $40,000. Top 3. Today, we're taking a journey into mid-1930s America to explore one of the most recognizable and meaningful coins ever struck by the United States, the Buffalo 5-cent coin from 1935. This coin is far more than just 5 cents. It represents American resilience, artistry, and a nation standing at the edge of recovery after one of the toughest economic periods in its history. Make sure you stay with me until the very end, because the final auction value of this coin might completely surprise you. The year 1935 sits at a fascinating point in American history. The country was still living under the shadow of the Great Depression, but signs of recovery were beginning to appear. Jobs were slowly returning, industries were rebuilding, and hope was cautiously making its way back into everyday life. Coins from this period were used heavily, and every nickel mattered. The Buffalo 5-cent coin of 1935 circulated through grocery stores, gas stations, farms, and factories, becoming a silent witness to a nation trying to stand back up. By 1935, the Buffalo nickel design had already been in circulation for over 2 decades. Introduced in 1913, it was created to showcase a distinctly American identity. Unlike earlier coins that borrowed from European art styles, the Buffalo nickel celebrated America's own history, its native peoples, its wildlife, and its frontier spirit. The 1935 issue belongs to the later years of this legendary series, making it especially appealing to collectors who value coins near the end of an iconic design era. On the front of the 1935 Buffalo nickel, you'll see a strong and deeply expressive portrait of a Native American chief. This image was created by blending the features of several real Native American leaders, resulting in a face that represents strength, dignity, and heritage rather than a single individual. The sharp profile, detailed hair, and proud posture make this one of the most admired portraits in all of U.S. coinage. It honors the first people of the land and reminds us of cultures that existed long before modern America. Turn the coin over, and you're immediately met with the powerful image that made this series legendary, the American buffalo. Standing solid and grounded, the buffalo represents endurance, power, and survival. At the time this coin was designed, the buffalo had narrowly escaped extinction, making its appearance on U.S. currency deeply symbolic. For Americans living through the hardships of the 1930s, this image reflected their own struggle to survive and push forward despite overwhelming challenges. What makes the 1935 Buffalo nickel especially interesting is how heavily it circulated. These coins were not saved as collectibles when they were new. They were used daily, passed from hand to hand, and worn down by years of real-world use. Because of this, most surviving examples today show significant wear. The date, in particular, was placed in a raised area, making it vulnerable to fading and damage over time. Condition plays a massive role in determining the desirability of this coin. Many 1935 Buffalo nickels have flat features, weak details, and worn surfaces. Coins that still show strong definition in the Native American's hair, clear facial contours, and sharp details in the buffalo's fur and horn are far rarer than most people realize. Even small improvements in condition can dramatically increase collector interest. Collectors are also drawn to the 1935 issue because it represents one of the final chapters of the Buffalo nickel story. Just a few years later, the design would be replaced, bringing an end to one of the most artistically bold coin series ever produced by the United States. Coins from these later years often attract special attention because they symbolize the closing of a historic era. Beyond its physical characteristics, the emotional value of the 1935 Buffalo nickel is incredibly strong. Many of these coins are discovered in inherited collections, old jars, and forgotten boxes, passed down from grandparents who lived through the Great Depression. This coin represents a time when 5 cents could buy meaningful goods and when coins were essential tools for survival. That emotional connection adds depth and power that goes far beyond metal and minting. Today, collectors around the world continue to chase high-quality examples of the 1935 Buffalo nickel. While worn coins are relatively common, truly exceptional specimens are becoming increasingly difficult to find. As interest in classic U.S. coinage continues to grow, competition for the finest surviving examples has intensified. Now let's get to the moment everyone has been waiting for, the value. At major coin auctions, outstanding examples of the United States of America Buffalo 5-cent coin from 1935, especially those with sharp details and exceptional preservation, have achieved auction prices of up to $35,000. Top 4. Today, we're stepping into the mid-1930s to explore one of the most famous and emotionally powerful coins ever produced by the United States, the Buffalo 5-cent coin from 1936. This coin is more than just old money. It is a symbol of strength, survival, and artistic brilliance created during a time when the nation was still healing from deep economic hardship. Stay with me until the very end, because the final auction value of this coin might completely change the way you look at it. The year 1936 was a moment of cautious optimism in the United States. The country was still feeling the effects of the Great Depression, but signs of recovery were beginning to appear. People were working again, businesses were slowly reopening, and confidence was starting to return. Coins like the Buffalo nickel played a critical role in everyday life. Every 5 cents mattered, and these coins passed through countless hands in shops, diners, factories, and farms across the nation. By 1936, the Buffalo nickel had already earned legendary status. First introduced in 1913, it was unlike anything Americans had seen before. Instead of classical or European-inspired designs, this coin celebrated America itself, its native people, its wildlife, and its frontier spirit. The 1936 issue came during the final years of this iconic series, which adds an extra layer of importance for collectors today. On the front of the 1936 Buffalo nickel, you'll see a bold and powerful portrait of a Native American chief. This image was not meant to represent a single person, but rather a blend of several real Native American leaders. The strong profile, detailed hair, and proud expression give the design a sense of dignity and respect. It honors the first people of the land and acknowledges the deep roots of American history long before modern times. Turn the coin over, and you are greeted by one of the most famous images in U.S. coinage, the American buffalo. Standing firm and grounded, the buffalo represents endurance, resilience, and raw strength. During the early 20th century, the buffalo population had nearly vanished, making its appearance on a circulating coin deeply symbolic. For Americans living through the struggles of the 1930s, this image reflected their own determination to survive and rebuild. What makes the 1936 Buffalo nickel especially fascinating is how heavily it circulated. These coins were not treated as collectibles when they were new. They were used daily, worn down by constant handling, and exposed to years of real-world use. Because of this, most surviving examples today show noticeable wear. The date and fine details were particularly vulnerable, often fading away over time. Condition plays a huge role in determining the desirability of this coin. Many 1936 Buffalo nickels have flat features, weak lettering, and smooth surfaces. Coins that still show strong detail in the Native American's hair, sharp facial features, and clear definition in the buffalo's fur and horn are far rarer than people expect. Even slight improvements in preservation can make a dramatic difference in collector interest. Collectors are also drawn to the 1936 issue because of its position within the series. With only a few years remaining before the Buffalo nickel was retired, coins from this period represent the final chapter of one of the most artistically daring designs in American history. That end-of-era status adds emotional and historical weight to the 1936 coin. Beyond rarity and condition, the 1936 Buffalo nickel carries deep nostalgic value. Many examples are found in inherited collections, old jars, or forgotten drawers, passed down from family members who lived through the Great Depression. This coin represents a time when 5 cents could buy real necessities and when every coin played a role in daily survival. That emotional connection makes the Buffalo nickel one of the most beloved U.S. coins of all time. Today, collectors around the world continue to pursue high-quality examples of the 1936 Buffalo nickel. While worn coins are relatively common, truly exceptional specimens are becoming increasingly scarce. As interest in classic American coinage grows, competition for the finest surviving examples continues to intensify. Now let's get to the moment everyone has been waiting for, the value. At major coin auctions, exceptional examples of the United States of America Buffalo 5-cent coin from 1936, especially those with sharp details and outstanding preservation, have achieved auction prices of up to $30,000. Top 5. Today, we're diving into one of the most legendary and talked about coins in U.S. history, the United States of America Buffalo 5-cent coin from 1937. This coin is not just famous, it's iconic. It represents the final chapter of one of the most beautiful coin designs ever created by the United States Mint, and its story is filled with history, mystery, and intense collector excitement. Stay with me until the very end, because the auction value of this coin might absolutely shock you. The year 1937 was a turning point in American coinage. The nation was slowly climbing out of the Great Depression, and while life was still difficult for many families, there was a growing sense of hope and rebuilding. Coins during this time were essential to everyday survival. Every nickel mattered. The Buffalo 5-cent coin from 1937 passed through millions of hands, used for food, transportation, and daily necessities during a critical moment in American history. What makes 1937 especially important is that it was the final year the Buffalo nickel was produced. Introduced in 1913, the Buffalo nickel had spent nearly 25 years in circulation, becoming one of the most beloved and recognizable coins in the country. By the end of 1937, this legendary design would be retired, making the 1937 issue the closing chapter of an era. End-of-series coins always hold special meaning, and this one is no exception. On the front of the 1937 Buffalo nickel, you'll see a powerful portrait of a Native American chief. This image was created by combining the features of several real Native American leaders, resulting in a face that represents strength, dignity, and heritage. The sharp profile, strong jawline, and detailed hair give the coin a sense of realism and respect that few U.S. coins have ever achieved. It honors the first people of the land and reminds us of America's deep and complex roots. Turn the coin over, and you're greeted by one of the most famous images in American numismatics, the American buffalo. Standing solid and grounded, the buffalo symbolizes endurance, resilience, and the untamed spirit of the American West. At the time this coin was designed, the buffalo had nearly vanished from the landscape, making its appearance on U.S. currency deeply meaningful. For Americans living through economic hardship, this image represented survival against overwhelming odds. The 1937 Buffalo nickel is especially fascinating because of how heavily it circulated. These coins were used constantly in daily transactions. As a result, most surviving examples today show noticeable wear. The raised date and fine details often wore down quickly, which means finding a well-preserved 1937 Buffalo nickel is far more difficult than many people realize. Condition plays a massive role in the value and desirability of this coin. Many examples have smooth surfaces, faded dates, and weak design details. Coins that still show sharp features in the Native American's hair, clear facial contours, and strong definition in the buffalo's horn and fur are highly prized. Even small differences in condition can separate an ordinary coin from an extraordinary one in the eyes of collectors. The 1937 issue is also one of the most talked about buffalo nickels among collectors because it is associated with legendary rarity and intense demand. Over the decades, this year has gained a reputation that makes collectors inspect every example carefully, hoping to find something special. This constant attention has made the 1937 Buffalo nickel one of the most exciting coins to search for in the entire series. Beyond rarity and condition, the emotional power of this coin is enormous. The 1937 Buffalo nickel represents the end of a bold artistic era in U.S. coinage. After this year, the design would be replaced, and America would move in a new direction. For many collectors, owning a 1937 Buffalo nickel feels like owning the final page of a historic book, one that tells the story of America's frontier spirit, resilience, and artistic courage. Many of these coins are discovered in inherited collections, old rolls, or family keepsakes passed down from grandparents who lived through the Depression. Holding this coin is like holding a piece of lived history. It connects us to a time when 5 cents had real value and when coins were an essential part of daily survival. Today, collectors around the world continue to compete for high-quality examples of the 1937 Buffalo nickel. While worn pieces are common, truly exceptional specimens are becoming harder and harder to find. As interest in classic American coins continues to grow, demand for this final year Buffalo nickel remains incredibly strong. Now let's get to the moment everyone has been waiting for, the value. At major coin auctions, extraordinary examples of the United States of America Buffalo 5-cent coin from 1937, especially those with exceptional detail and preservation, have reached auction prices of up to $100,000. Yes, a coin once worth just 5 cents can sell for six figures at auction when history, rarity, and collector demand come together. So before you overlook that old Buffalo nickel, take a closer look. You might be holding the final and most legendary chapter of one of America's greatest coin designs, and a truly remarkable auction treasure.